Welcome to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Oakland County and the state of Michigan. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft. You can always find us live 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Civic Center TV in the greater West Bloomfield area and on community television and radio stations all throughout Oakland County and across the state of Michigan. Learn more information on all of our partners and their 23 hours of other original content each and every day on civiccentertv.com/megacast. That's also the place where, if you're not able to join us live every day throughout your work week from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., we get it. It's the morning. It's a busy part of your day. You're getting things going, getting your kids ready for school, getting to your appointments, starting off your work day. You can always find us on demand and watch us anytime on your time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on civiccentertv.com/megacast as well. Full episodes and individual segments. So whether you want to watch a full hour of programming about Oakland County and the state of Michigan every day, or just watch videos about subject matter that is most interesting to you every single day, the stories that are most interesting to you. Maybe you're a fan of politics and you want to get some analysis on how national politics is affecting us here in Michigan and the future of Michigan politics from a guy like Dave Dulio, distinguished professor of political science at Oakland University. Hey, he joins us today on the show, but if you can't watch us live later on near the bottom of the hour for that interview, you can always find Dave Dulio's interviews with us live to tape, or as we say in the industry, or on demand on civiccentertv.com/megacast. Another great place to go each and every day is our local news page. Get quick updates on the top stories making headlines all across Oakland County and throughout the state of Michigan that affect us here in Oakland County as well, and find links to those articles so you can read them in full, read their supporting materials, and of course, if you have the means to do so, we would encourage you to subscribe to these publications and support journalism here in your community on the front lines, telling you the stories you need to know in your community and doing the hard work to get that information to you, the public. Making headlines today, our top story comes from Charlie Langton at WWJ News Radio 950. Tuesday in West Bloomfield, the day started off with a fire on Haggerty Road just south of Walnut Lake Road at the old Pella Window facility, with smoke that could be seen for miles beyond that blaze early Tuesday morning. Per reports, nobody was hurt in the fire, according to West Bloomfield Township Fire Marshal Byron Turnquist, who told Charlie Langton from WWJ that the likely culprit was equipment scraping the concrete, causing a spark, which then ignited already demolished debris on the ground below it. Of course, very warm day yesterday, a very dry day yesterday, as we've gone quite a long time actually here without rain or other precipitation in our local area. That means the conditions were ripe for a fire, and then of course you get a spark, you get some dry debris that's flammable in some way or another, wood and other materials that can catch fire pretty quickly in normal conditions. In those conditions, even quicker, and they spread even faster. So that is currently what West Bloomfield Fire Marshal and the fire department believe was the culprit, was equipment scraping the concrete at the demo site, causing a spark which then ignited debris already on the ground. That fire, of course, going to continue to go under investigation to get a final verdict on what exactly caused the fire and how that may be prevented in the future. A similar fire, as all fires undergo those investigations to nail down a cause. The working theory at this time still is that equipment scraping the concrete sparked the fire on the very dry debris. As we said, smoke was visible for miles surrounding the fire, and crews remained on scene afterward in order to put out the blaze, but also to ensure that there were no hot spots remaining below the surface that could potentially reignite due to those dry conditions, as maybe the water evaporates that they used to put out those fire, or other materials evaporate later on, that fire couldn't make a second turn back and start again on that busy part of Walnut Lake Road and Haggerty in West Bloomfield Township. While traffic was rerouted on Tuesday morning, it did quickly reopen right around 11 a.m. for normal traffic operations on both Walnut Lake and Haggerty at that corner where the fire occurred. Again, it was on Haggerty Road just south of Walnut Lake at the old Pella Window facility. That remains the case at this time. Traffic is back to normal on Haggerty and Walnut Lake Road in West Bloomfield Township, so don't expect any delays in that area as a result of the fire. That full article from WWJ News Radio 950 that includes some additional pictures as well of the incident, some video from Charlie Langton, as he always captures when he's out in the field reporting on stories for WWJ and, of course, for Fox 2 News. You can find an article from Odyssey, who, of course, owns WWJ News Radio 950, linked at the top of our local news page on civiccentertv.com. Also making headlines today from Carol Thompson at the Detroit News. High temperatures, sunshine, and plenty of summer-like days continue to be in the forecast for the remainder of this week following Memorial Day, but comes with a warning as well today, once again, from the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, which is otherwise known as EGLE, who once again is declaring today an ozone action day in Metro Detroit, as well as on the west side of the state in several areas in addition to that. This is the second consecutive day with this sort of a warning being issued by a local authority, either nationally from the National Weather Service, as it was yesterday, or locally today, statewide, from EGLE, that, of course, today issued a second warning of the week about ozone being an issue in the atmosphere outside. Of course, if you have any breathing issues, any respiratory issues, you may want to limit your time outside today, as ozone levels going to be a little bit higher. And of course, if you don't have to do any yard work or fill up your gas tank, that can prevent some of that ozone pollution from worsening the conditions outside. Let's dive into that a little bit here in just a moment. Quick sip to relieve some drier mouth conditions, and we'll get back to this right now. As per this article from Carol Thompson at the Detroit News, great detail went into explaining what exactly ozone is. Quote, ground-level ozone pollution is formed when nitrous oxides and volatile organic compounds combine on hot and sunny days. Nitrous oxides and volatile organic compounds are emitted by cars, by power plants, industrial boilers, refineries, chemical plants, as well as other sources. That includes your lawnmowers, your weed whackers, those gas-powered machines that you may use out in your yard. And of course, as was also mentioned, your motor vehicles, your cars, your motorcycles, and so on and so forth. Ozone can cause breathing issues, including coughing, inflamed airways, and difficulty breathing. And it can also aggravate ongoing issues and respiratory issues like asthma and emphysema, increasing the frequency of asthma attacks and making lungs more susceptible to infection. That according to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, quoted in this article from Carol Thompson at the Detroit News. Here's what you can do in order to avoid negative effects from increased ozone pollution in our atmosphere today. Be aware of your triggers. If you have a respiratory illness, as was mentioned, asthma, emphysema, maybe you've recently had COVID-19 or you're suffering from long COVID, or you have other respiratory ailments like RSV or the seasonal flu, those things can take a greater toll today as a result of the increased ozone in our atmosphere. So what you can do, you don't necessarily have to be cooped up inside, staring longly outside of your window, wishing you could be out in the beautiful sunny conditions, but you should limit your time outdoors today, as conditions are ripe to make whatever problems you may have on the respiratory side a little bit more difficult today, especially that difficulty breathing could be problematic. What you can do to help these individuals, we talked about that a little bit already. Limit the use of your motor vehicles. If you don't have to drive today, maybe stay home. If you don't have to fill up your gas tank today, you can wait a few days, wait till early on next week when the conditions are a little bit more favorable and and we don't have such high of a UV index as today, 8 out of 10. On that 10-point scale, with 10 being the most severe. Maybe avoid filling up your tank today. Hey, not a bad idea. You'll see in the next story, you might want to take a few days off from filling up your gas tank based on our next story coming up, but we'll keep you hopefully staying tuned for that. If you can wait, don't fill up your tank. And of course, if you can limit lawn mowing, weed whacking, other activities that require you using a gas-powered machine today in your yard, at home, or if you're out working, that may be a good idea as well. This might not be the only time we get this warning over the summer season. We've already had now 6 ozone action days already this year, and the summer is expected to be warmer than normal. So given that condition where the sun and the heat combined with the ozone pollution in the air already to worsen those conditions, you can expect we'll have more of these ozone action days coming up. Heck, I would expect the rest of this week to potentially have these ozone action day advisories issued every single day, considering the UV index. If you were tuned in for our Greater West Bloomfield news show beforehand, of course, this is all part of our 90 minutes of news coverage in our local area. 8 out of 10 UV index today, 8 out of 10 on Thursday, 8 out of 10 on Friday. Saturday and Sunday, much of the same. 7 out of 10 on Saturday, 8 out of 10 on Sunday. The conditions are ripe for ozone pollution in our atmosphere to have a heavy effect on those with respiratory issues. You can do your part to prevent some of those issues by following some of the things we just talked about. And of course, I'd highly encourage you to read this full article from Carol Thompson at the Detroit News to get even more details on how ozone affects us here in our part of the atmosphere on days like today. CivicCenterTV.com's local news page, the place to go for more of that information. Finally, making headlines today from the Detroit Free Press's Frank Witzel. As I mentioned, as I teased earlier, gas prices are going up 3 cents from a week ago. The average price per gallon in the state of Michigan currently sitting at about $3.60. Now, the reason behind this is the Memorial Day holiday. That, according to AAA's Adrian Woodland, who said the Memorial Day demand, of course, with the supply remaining the same, caused prices to go up. It's simple. Supply and demand economics. Although forecasts would say that after the Memorial Day holiday, that level of demand will return to more normal conditions and likely drop. Adrian Woodland from AAA says if demand drops post-holiday and continues to drop, the prices will also come back down to something more normal. That being said, still very much savings at this time from our point a year ago with gas prices. Right now, the most expensive gas in the state of Michigan, you might want to do a little traveling out of your local area if you're in Marquette, at $3.70 per gallon. Benton Harbor, $3.65 per gallon, and Jackson sitting at $3.64 per gallon. The most affordable gas per gallon in the state of Michigan is in Flint, mid-Michigan, $3.58 per gallon. You'll get 1 cent per gallon savings over the state average. In Metro Detroit, $3.59 per gallon, and you'll be right at the state average in Lansing and surrounding areas, $3.60 per gallon. More information in this story, CivicCenterTV.com on our local news page. Click through to read this article and our other top stories today and throughout the week. And of course, if you have the means to do so, we would highly encourage you to subscribe to these local publications, get access to even more of those stories that are behind paywalls from these publications nowadays. And of course, help support them doing what they do every single day to report on the stories that are important to you right here in Oakland County and throughout the state of Michigan. We have a great program ahead. On the other side of the break, we'll talk to LaTrell Bell, the Director of Fund Development and the Marketing Director at the Hannan Center. That's coming up next. Stay tuned. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Looking for a midweek meal? Keep the bag lunch at home this summer and enjoy street food in your neighborhood with Food Truck Tuesdays. Enjoy cuisine from around Michigan outside the WB Parks and Recreations Activity Center with a different vendor every Tuesday, like Post Sam's Cafe on June 6th. All summer, every Tuesday, Food Truck Tuesday. This community update from Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Oakland County and the state of Michigan. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft. You can always stay up to date with us and find us on demand on CivicCenterTV.com/Megacast. In addition, that's where you'll find information on all of our partnering stations, including where we broadcast live and live to tape in your local area right here in Oakland County. CivicCenterTV.com/Megacast is the place to go for that. Joining us now on the Megacast is LaTrell Bell from the Hannan Center as they prepare to celebrate some people making impacts in our community, even at an older age. There's 70 over 70 awards are opening nominations this week, and LaTrell joins us now on the Megacast. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hey, Tyler, thank you so much for having us and thinking about Hannan and allowing us to come on this platform and share about this exciting event.
Yeah, glad to have you on. For those that may not be familiar with Hannan, tell us about your organization first and some of the different services that you're providing in our local area.
Sure. So Hannan has been around the Metro Detroit, specifically here in Detroit, since we're at around 98 years now. So we've been around for a long time. And actually in 25, we'll be celebrating our centennial year. And so Hannan has been around. We offer services in several different areas. We have our Xenobomb Service Center, and that is our social work component. So just so if you don't know about Hannan, what we primarily do is we serve older adults in the Detroit metro area. And so our Xenobomb Center is our social work center that we offer telephone reassurance, which was a program that derived out of the COVID-19. So weekly, our social workers call different seniors in our community and just have a conversation with them, see how their week is going, to kind of, let them know that they're not alone, they're not lonely, and they're not forgotten. We also offer social work case management and, support groups. We have several support groups and those sort of things. We also have a huge art presence here. In fact, if you've never been to Hannan, I invite you to come. We have a beautiful art gallery here. Actually, you see some art that's sitting behind me. We have a beautiful art gallery. Art is a huge part of our culture, especially with our older adults. It allows them to be expressive. And a lot of the works that you'll see here is done by our older adults. We also offer a component where we have art therapy. And that kind of segue into a place that we have upstairs. Up in our fourth floor, we have a adult day service center. It's called Daybreak. And Daybreak targets and focus more so in the area for those dealing with dementia. And it also serves as a respite for their caregivers. So it's kind of a twofold thing where we care for the loved one with dementia and give them different therapies and let them come and have an exciting day at Hannan while their caregivers get to go out and run day-to-day errands, leaving them here. So there's a lot that we do. And one thing that, we really push is our Beyond You, which is our lifelong learning program. And we offer so many classes, from Zumba to singing, to acting, to learning how to speak a new language. You're never too old to learn a new language. So Hannan is just full of so many different things, and we can go on and on and on about what we do here.
You can always find more information on the Hannan Center by visiting hannan.org, HANNAN.org, or calling them 313-833-1300, 313-833-1300. Joining us on the program from the Hannan Center is their Director of Fund Development and their Marketing Director, LaTrell Bell, on today's edition of the Megacast. LaTrell, as we mentioned, this is all surrounding your 70 over 70 awards coming up very soon. Nominations are now open. Tell us about these awards and who they recognize.
Nominations are now open, as you said, and so, a lot of our viewers, you may be, familiar with the 30 under 30 or the 40 under 40, but, we recognize that our older adults are still making impact or have made great impact in our society and in our world. And so back in 2017, we decided to say, you know what we're going to do is we're going to host a 70 over 70 event. And what we do is we have 10 different categories. And in those categories, we honor 7 older adults that have made impactless change in their society and in their community. And I tell you, Tyler, it is something, to be honest with you, here's a little secret for those that may just be hearing about it this year. This will actually be my first one that I'm attending as well, and I'm planning it. So
it's great to
just came on
recognize
board with
those
Hannan.
in these communities that it's great to recognize those in these communities that are making an impact and continuing to make an impact, as they get older in life. Maybe they're done with their careers, they've raised their kids, but they still want to have an impact, and they're going a long way to do that in so many different areas, both in Detroit and surrounding communities. If people want to nominate somebody to be recognized for the work that they continue to do in our communities, how can they go about nominating someone, LaTrell?
Right. So if you want to go, you can go to our website. We have a landing page for 70 over 70, and that is 70, the number 70 over 70, the word 70.com. And you can go there. You'll see the prompts there that allows you to just click on the nominations, and you'll see that there's several categories that you can nominate someone for. There's a lifelong achievement. There is arts and culture. There's a change maker, unsung hero, those that are, made a way in entrepreneurship. And then there's also lifelong learning. So you can go right to our website, 70over70.com, and you'll be able to nominate as many as you can. Here's the thing. Nominate as many as you can. There is no cap. So the more nominations, the better.
More information can be found, again, 70over70.com, or go to Hannan Center's website at hannan.org to learn more information. Joining us on the Megacast today is LaTrell Bell, the Director of Fund Development and the Marketing Director at the Hannan Center. You can learn more information, again, hannan.org, or visit them at 4750 Woodward Avenue in Detroit. Call them 313-833-1300, 313-833-1300 for more information, including all their other programs beyond 70 over 70. And for those that are not familiar with these awards, or haven't maybe tuned in the past to see who has been recognized by the Hannan Center for their impact in the community, who are some of the notable winners from past editions of 70 over 70?
Oh, my, I was going back through the roster. I mean, just Detroit locals. You have Brenda Scott. You have, for those who are familiar with the funeral home industry, one of the largest funeral homes is the Swanson Funeral Home, and you had O'Neill Swansons. We've had so many, Tyler, I can't even name them all, but the who's have been nominated. And what I mean about that is that some that and then some that are unsung. So there's we've had classes from 2017 up until now. So we're looking for the next names.
Again, more information can be found on their website, hannan.org. To find more information on programs from the Hannan Center in Detroit and supporting all throughout the Detroit area. For those that may be interested in keeping up to date with these awards as they're nominating, and hopefully seeing some of those nominees that they're presenting being recognized later on this year, when is the 70 over 70 awards, and how can people participate later on?
So our award day is going to be October 7th. That is a Saturday, and it's going to kick off at around 11:30. There's going to be a wonderful lunch. It will be held at Fellowship Chapel's Dome Banquet Hall, beautiful facility. And we have a great day planned already. I've been planning and working with our team, from serving a great meal to we have some great entertainment. I won't announce the name yet, but we have some great entertainment lined up. And then we also will have, different ones from the community there to speak. So it's going to be a phenomenal event. You don't want to miss it. There are all type of opportunities that you can support, and you will see those on our website as well, and on the 70over70.com website, where maybe you want to sponsor seniors. Again, we cover every ticket for the senior and they can bring one other guest with them, and those tickets are comped. And so if you want to sponsor one of our nominees, we welcome that. There's several tiers that you can do that, and we don't turn away any sponsorships. And also, again, with nominations. So please just push out, let people know what we're doing, and let's get as many nominations as we can. Beyond October 7th, Hannan, there's always something to do around Hannan. If you want to volunteer or you want to, come and be a part of our programs, again, visit our website. You can join our email list, and weekly you'll get an email blast about those things.
More information can be found on programs at the Hannan Center all throughout the year at hannan.org, and you can submit your nominees. Unlimited amounts of nominations you can make on 70over70.com. That's the number 70, and then the words over70.com. Those began in late May and run until July 14th. That's a Monday, July 14th. Now through July 14th, you can nominate 70over70.com. We're joined by LaTrell Bell, the Director of Fund Development and the Marketing Director at the Hannan Center on today's edition of the Megacast. LaTrell, before we let you go, anything else that we haven't discussed today about Hannan, about 70 over 70, or other topics that you'd like to discuss?
Once again, we've covered the great deal of 70 over 70 and what we do here at Hannan. Again, thank you so much to you all for having us and thinking about us and letting us come in and share this great opportunity with the community. Everyone is welcome here at Hannan, so feel free to check out all of our resources, and any way we can help you or your loved one, we look forward to serving you.
Again, hannan.org, the place to go for more information on the Hannan Center, and 70over70.com for nominations. LaTrell, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Again, you enjoy the rest of your day and continue to get those nominations out for us.
Appreciate it. The number 70over70 in writing.com is the place to go for these nominations, and they run now until July 14th. Get those nominations in, unlimited amounts, and you can help people be recognized for all of the great work they're doing in our community. 70 over 70 awards will then happen in October 7th, 2023, the date for this year's event. We'll take a short break on the Megacast. On the other side, a local veteran and mom has set out to put herself on a mission to help people during stressful times of their lives, including teenagers right here in our community. On the other side of the break, Uni Falero from Sacred Walks by Uni will join us on the Megacast. Stay tuned. That'll be on our show next after this break.
Like what you see? Beautiful works of art, masterworks of metal, and accomplishments of artistry will be on display near you. All kinds of artists from all walks of life come together to celebrate their skill and appreciate their work's beauty. Hot Works presents the 2023 Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. Stop by July 29th and 30th between 2 and 10 p.m. between Powers and Daly off of Orchard Lake Road.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important.
And now the same is true in the face of flu.
Influenza has the power to infect millions.
But it's easy to protect yourself, your family, and your community.
The flu vaccine is safe and effective. And with COVID-19 still around,
it's essential. Together we can face flu season head on.
Visit michigan.gov/flu.
Stop by West Bloomfield Town Hall June 14th and get your health in check at the 14th Annual Greater West Bloomfield Health and Wellness Fair. Over 40 businesses, organizations, and vendors take the time to showcase healthy practices, tips, and resources for the community. Young or old, there's something for everyone and everybody. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Wednesday, June 14th, the 14th Annual Greater West Bloomfield Health and Wellness Fair. This community update from Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Oakland County and the state of Michigan. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft. You can always stay up to date with us on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. We'll find information on all of our partnering stations throughout Oakland County and our co-flagship My Michigan TV, providing statewide original and imported programming, and find all of our full shows and each individual segment on demand as well. All of that, civiccentertv.com/megacast. Joining us now on the program is Uni Falero, who founded Sacred Walks by Uni. Uni is a woman of color, a veteran, and a mom who is on a mission to help people through stressful times in their life and holds many certifications in order to back up her practices as she goes to community events throughout Metro Detroit, including right here in Oakland County, and also holds teen support style groups as well. Uni, thank you so much for joining us on the Megacast today to talk about some of the great work that you're doing to help so many people in our community.
Hi, Tyler. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you having me out today. Namaste.
Yeah, glad to have you on to talk about this because it's really interesting, both the work that you're doing and the way that you got in to this work as well, providing support services to people of all different ages. So before we get into some of the specifics about what you do, let's talk about how you got into this. As I mentioned in the opening, you're a veteran, you're a mom, you have a wealth of different experiences in your life up to this point. So what led you into this line of work?
All right. So Sacred Walks by Uni Shop LLC originated from a dark time in my life. Literally after going through an abusive relationship. It was just a time in my life where I knew that I wanted something different. And I remember like repeatedly asking God and, talking to it and saying it has to be something more to life than just this robotic way that we're pretty much raised to live. Like, I felt like I was always on a schedule. There wasn't no type of flow, no creation happening. So I pretty much got in tune with meditation and yoga. And then I was actually running a daycare facility at the time. So I was already working with children when this started. So I loved it so much that I implemented it into the daycare facility that I was running at the time, outside of my home state license in Savannah, Georgia. And the kids loved it. It worked out so great with all of us. We meditated together. We did yoga. And I also served organic food as well. So I saw the benefits of it and what it did to the mind, body, and soul, not just for me, but for the children. And the parents saw it. And when I chose to shut down the daycare, it was so funny because I remember getting so much heat from it. Why are you shutting down? The yoga, meditation, the mindfulness practices is helping our children. And they love the daycare so much. But I love the mindfulness part so much that I wanted to go get certified. So I shut the daycare down to go get certified in yoga and meditation and Ayurveda nutrition.
And that's what makes this such a compelling story, too, is you took some practices that you put into work with people all throughout our communities. You saw the impact it was having and then went out to not only make sure that you were properly certified, you knew what you were doing, but that you could then take all those practices, do them the right way, and help so many other people in doing that. So there are many different ways that you put this into practice in our community. Can you tell us about some of those different methods that you use, whether it's support groups that you mentioned, for example, for teens, and also some of the other services that you provide through Sacred Walks by Uni?
Okay, so I have a new studio that I'm partnering with, CC's Holistic. Sarah is her name, a beautiful young lady. So we run monthly, weekly classes. Monday and Wednesdays, we have our yin. Saturdays, we have our vinyasa flow, which is to actually work the body, because you do need a balance. You need to understand that the body needs strength and it needs flexibility. So we offer an array of classes. And then because I am a for-profit and a nonprofit, I have a nonprofit sector. Wah! So with that being said, I do offer donation-based classes for my veterans and my senior citizens, okay? And underprivileged households. So low-income households, we do look at the income rubric of Michigan. We do have that in place. So if you come, you can get most of the classes donation-based. That's the beautiful part about this Healing Foundation, is that it's for everyone. It is just for humanity, because at the end of the day, I feel that we do need a greater humanity. We do all need to slow down. We do need to all give ourselves time to heal. properly. I think we're not giving ourselves that forgiveness. We're not giving ourselves that solitude, that time. We offer the youth. The youth is important. You know, working with the children, that's our future. That saying that the children are tomorrow, that it would make this place a better place. Absolutely. So if we actually dig deeper and start with the children now, giving them the life tools to handle life, to navigate through their journey, explaining to them that everything is spiritual first before it's physical. Everything is spiritual first before it's physical. And I think the biggest part of what we lost is our spirituality. You know, we have the religion piece, we have all of that, but the truth, the real indigenous, the ancient, the realness of it has went away. And that's what our program is about when it comes to the youth. The creator in me, this hat that I'm wearing right now, it's to give the youth a conscious way of thinking, to move them from a robotic mind into a conscious way of thinking, a conscious way of living, and a conscious way of being. Self-aware, consciously knowing that every choice that they make, they are affecting everyone around them. And I want to make sure that they know that they can live and walk this life with affecting people in the most positive and beautiful way ever. And that is our main destiny as a human race. So I offer an array. I work with the senior citizens. I give free classes down at the University of Meadow in Detroit to the veterans down there. So Sacred Walks by Uni is not a yoga studio. It is a healing foundation for human race.
You can find more information on sacredwalksbyuni.com. You can also call them at 912-414-8929, 912-414-8929 for more information. Location at 25245 5 Mile Road in Redford, Michigan. More information on their hours and other services can be found. Again, sacredwalksbyuni.com. And it's great because in recent years, Uni, we've heard so much more about these holistic practices, whether it be getting into yoga, getting into meditation, or other practices as well, like you mentioned, Ayurveda. And there's so much more information that's out in the general public, and less of this misinformation about these practices, because they are so much based in spirituality, that we know how these can have an impact on people. So for those that are still kind of working through the weeds of what is true and what isn't true about these different practices and holistic healing, what do you wish people knew more about holistic healing?
I want you to understand that holistic healing is a part of you. We created this. The human race created this from decades on decades. I mean, beyond when you talk about the prophet Jesus, when you talk about the prophets of the prophet Muhammad and Moses, these practices were ancient. The practice of solitude, meditation, contemplating is all in the Bible. It's all in the religious books. So when we talk about this, I need you to understand that you are this. And this is your medicine. The root word of medicine is the same root word of meditation. There's a reason why that has been taken away. And I need you to understand that for you to be great in anything that you do, you must meditate. This is something that you must latch back onto. So please come down to Sacred Walks by Uni, 1446 Michigan Ave, Detroit, Michigan, and we would love to help you through any challenge that you may have. Stay blessed.
Again, you can find more information and keep up to date with Sacred Walks by Uni by visiting their website, sacredwalksbyuni.com. Sacredwalksbyuni.com is their website for more information. Joining us on the program is the person behind this, Uni Falero from Sacred Walks by Uni, on today's edition of the Megacast. Before we let you go, we got to get running, Uni, but anything else we haven't discussed about some of the practices that you do and the services that you provide throughout our local area that you would like our audience to know?
Yes, we also offer massage. I am also certified as a massage therapist, so we also travel. Book us. We will come out to you. If it's something that you don't want to, you're not ready to come out to the studio, come out, book us, contact me through the website. We'll come out to you. We have traveling tables. I have other massage therapists on the team. We will come out and do yoga with you as well. So if you're not ready to come to the studio, Uni and her beautiful healing team will come out to you. So there's nothing that we don't have. We're also getting ready to start having our catering service kick off within the next couple of months. It's going to be called the Sacred Eats, which is going to teach you a little bit about nutrition and the different body types that we hold. And that's going more into the Ayurveda side of nutrition. So again, we have everything. It is a one-stop shop to holistic healing and to your better you. So come on down.
More information can be found on her website, sacredwalksbyuni.com. Thank you so much for joining us, Uni.
Thank you, Tyler. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Peace.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being with us today. We'll take a break here on the Megacast. On the other side, plenty going on in the political realm, both here in the state of Michigan. The Mackinac Policy Conference ongoing as we speak on Mackinac Island. In addition, in Washington, D.C., a deal has been reached to adjust the debt limit for the United States, but it's not quite across the finish line just yet. Plus, potential for Democratic heavy hitters in the state of Michigan to maybe put their hat in the ring to run for governor and replace Governor Whitmer at the end of her term in just a few years. That's all coming up next. We'll talk to Dave Dulio from Oakland University. Stay tuned. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Many people are feeling overwhelmed and struggling with mental wellness these days. So be kind to your mind. Give yourself permission to breathe. Share your feelings. You are not alone. Have hope. Talk to a Stay Well counselor for free confidential help 24/7 through the COVID-19 hotline.
Ronnie started doing prescription pills at the age of 15, and by 19, he died. If your child is struggling with drug use, try not to be too proud to reach out for help. Don't be worried about what the neighbor will think or your family. Just get your child the help they need. Sometimes it's the hard road to take, but the hard road is nothing compared to living with the fact that your child is no longer with you.
There's hope and help at drugfree.org.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Oakland County and the state of Michigan. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft. You can always find us on demand on civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Both are full 1-hour episodes that are live from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. during your work week, as well as live to tape throughout our local area on stations including Orion Neighborhood Television and Birmingham Area Municipal Access. You can find links to all of them and our other partnering stations and their original programming as well. civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Already, it is a busy time in our politics, both on the state and the federal level, with new candidates entering into the presidential election for 2024. Crisis on the debt ceiling discussions continuing in Washington, D.C., potentially coming to a close, but not quite at the finish line just yet. And, of course, rumors already beginning for a potential 2026 gubernatorial candidates right here in the state of Michigan. So much to go over, and that's why we're glad to have Dave Dulio from Oakland University, where he serves as a distinguished professor of political science and is the director of their Center for Civic Engagement. Dave, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, good morning, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on as we're in the midst of the Mackinac Policy Conference week. One of those times as we talk about all these different complicated issues at the national level, statewide. This is the place, and this is an event year after year where many consequential decisions and discussions are had amongst our leadership in the state of Michigan, both on the local level and on the statewide level. So let's give some context to why this is such an important time of the year at the Mackinac Policy Conference. What does this really serve as on the statewide level from a political standpoint, as that touch point where so many different issues are discussed? How does something like this have an impact on our statewide politics year after year?
Well, this is one of those sort of non-governmental, it is a non-governmental gathering, right? I mean, and it just has got such a reputation for a rich program and a long history of drawing major players, all of the power brokers that are movers and shakers in state politics and federal politics to some extent, gather on Mackinac for a few days. And it's here where informal conversations take place. It could be over lunch. It might be over a drink. It could be just walking on the on the porch of the Grand Hotel, where the conversations start to happen and continue to happen throughout the week. It's really just a place where a lot of the movers and shakers gather and can start to get some work done.
Yeah, a lot of really interesting discussions going to be happening this week, and people both throughout the state of Michigan and our leadership, celebrities and impact players in politics and in business throughout the country also going to be there. Garland Gilchrist II, our lieutenant governor, having a couple of speaking appearances today. Also, Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, and of course, one of the Sharks from Shark Tank, also coming in to this year's event, and will be seen on Mackinac Island this week as well, including others like the mayor of Detroit, Mike Duggan. Now, in Washington, D.C., some very important discussions have been happening, a battle throughout the past several weeks as well on the debt ceiling and discussions on how to address the debt limit on the national level. Now, President Joe Biden and Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy had a meeting late last week and actually came to an agreement on a deal for a debt ceiling package. Now, this is where we get to an interesting point, because a deal can be made, but just because a deal is made between the Speaker of the House and the President of the United States doesn't mean that it's going to happen. And already, Dave, we're seeing some scrambling once again from the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, trying to wrangle his own party into accepting a deal that he reached with the president. So give us an update on that and where Kevin McCarthy is at in terms of convincing his fellow Republicans to go along with this deal he made with the president.
Yeah, I think that first off, we should note that this is life in divided party government, right? When you've got one party in control of one of the three elected branches of government, or elected offices, right? House, Senate, and White House. We're going to be in this kind of deal-making mode out of necessity, right? That one party can't get everything that it wants. And that's exactly what we're seeing. So to your point, the Speaker of the House, right, the leader of the Republicans in Congress, and the President of the United States, who is, certainly a leader of the party more so than even somebody like Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leaders in both chambers. They worked out an agreement. And as you note, right now they both have to sell it to their members in the House and the Senate. And there are any number of Republicans that are not going to vote for this thing. At the same time, there are a number of Democrats who aren't going to vote for this thing, right? Elizabeth Warren is a no. It wouldn't surprise me if Bernie Sanders was a no. The Progressive Caucus in the House of Representatives, it doesn't like it. The Freedom Caucus in the House on the Republican side doesn't like it. So, you've got basically the edges of both party caucuses not liking this. However, you have the Problem Solvers Caucus in the House, of which many Michigan House members, Alyssa Slotkin, Haley Stevens, Debbie Dingell, John James, and I think there's actually another one or two, Hillary Skolton from the West Side. The Problem Solvers Caucus has endorsed it, and that's a bipartisan group of members. And when they endorse a piece of legislation, they all commit to vote for it. So that's going to be a big bipartisan group of 64 members in the House that are going to vote for this thing. And I think that was a big deal. And I guess the point of all of this is, I'd say two more things. One, when you've got the extremes not liking it, but the middle liking it, they probably made a pretty good bargain. They didn't get everything they wanted, but neither did the other side. And I would also say, too, that this is just an entirely predictable outcome, right? Where for the last several weeks, every twist and turn that has been mentioned in news reports or on social media had all kinds of people wigging out about one twist or another turn, when this is exactly where we probably, with reasonable looking forward from a couple of weeks ago could have predicted we would be.
Yeah, it's a simple game of political chicken, as it's been the last several times we've reached this point in recent years, where they've had the debt ceiling be reached or be near being reached, and they have to negotiate a deal to increase the debt limit in order to prevent a default that both political parties, especially when it comes up in an election year or near an election year, are really trying to vie for position and use a major dilemma as a means to do that. So how much of a factor did that play in this particular negotiation, especially considering the fact that we're expecting to have a very competitive race for the presidency between incumbent Democrat Joe Biden and whomever ultimately gets the nomination on the Republican side?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? I mean, to some extent, it is a game of chicken, and I think that the actions by both the White House and the Speaker's office in the first few weeks of the negotiation, or the first, at least when it was, or the first meetings in earnest, if you will, between not even between the two main players, but their staff, right? I think you could see that game of chicken playing out, where they'd meet and then they would accuse the other one of not moving. I mean, that's just playing to their base, which they have to do. But I think that nobody really wants to even come close to a default on the U.S. obligations. And that's in part, I think, because we've never really gotten that far, right? There have been some times when some payments weren't made, but nobody really knows what would happen if this was a protracted period of time where the U.S. couldn't make payments on whether it's interest on the debt, or to our creditors, or Social Security payments, or other benefits that would need to go out. So, and nobody wants to do that because nobody knows the outcome of that, right? What would really happen if payments like that weren't made? Nobody wants to cross that threshold, which is why, again, getting a deal done, even at a late hour, is entirely predictable.
Joining us on the program today, as he always does each and every Wednesday, is Dave Dulio, Distinguished Professor of Political Science at Oakland University, where he also serves as a director of their Center for Civic Engagement. You can find more information on oakland.edu/CCE, oakland.edu/CCE. And Dave, we're not even half a year past Governor Whitmer beginning her second term in office, and already hearing some rumors of potential rumblings of Democrats who may run to replace her in 2026, with rumors this week both of Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan potentially running for that office, as well as a rising star in the Democratic Party, Senator Mallory McMorrow. In terms of the likelihood of these two candidates potentially running for that office in the future, where do you see that at this point, especially with someone like Mallory McMorrow, who has said that she's not going to run for the U.S. Senate spot, something that she could have potentially contended for, even running against someone like Alyssa Slotkin? In terms of going for that gubernatorial office, where do you stand on where these two political candidates may be in terms of their ability to compete for winning those positions in 2026?
Sure. I think that they're both strong candidates, so they would make strong candidates for that office. I think they both have a number of really good qualifications that would be attractive to a Democratic primary base. The mayor's work in the city, I think it gives him a strong foundation, and of course Senator McMorrow has become not just a rising star in Michigan, but nationally, given the profile that she's created for herself, and as well as a national fundraising base. So, I think that they're both likely names that would pop up, this far out. But as you know, Tyler, right? We are years away from any decisions being made, and that amount of time in politics is just an incredibly long way ahead of us to try to make any kind of reasonable prognostications.
Yeah, so plenty of time left to make those prognostications, those predictions. We still don't even know who the contenders may be on the Republican side, let alone who's going to be the final nominations for the President of the United States on the Republican side and who may go up against President Joe Biden. So many things to consider in the future, and a great place to go for resources on considering those issues and talking about the issues is the Oakland University Center for Civic Engagement. Dave, with 1 minute left in our program today, anything coming up at the Center for Civic Engagement that people should mark their calendars for?
We're on hiatus for the summer. You know, one of our big main audiences is our students at OU, and with the vast majority of them not on campus in the summer doing internship, they're out doing internships, they're working jobs. You know, we take a break from programming, but we'll be back in the fall with a number of things I think that your viewers and listeners will find interesting, and I hope that they'll come out and join us for everything we've got going in the fall.
Well, Dave, we appreciate you joining us each and every week to talk about the latest in Michigan and federal politics and how that impacts us here in Oakland County and beyond. Thank you very much.
You got it. Thanks for having me.
Always more information, and you can keep up to date on events in the fall as the Oakland University Center for Civic Engagement comes back in full swing as we get into the thick of election season for 2024 at oakland.edu/CCE. That is going to do it for today's edition of the program. Big thank you to each and every one of our guests for joining us, and thank you as well for tuning in. You can find us on demand on civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Full programs on each individual segment. Big thank you as well to our crew, and I'm your host, Tyler Kieft. Until next time, take care of each other, and we'll see you very soon.